So within ESS BIZTOOLS, we have developed a range of products to assist accountants to deliver a wide range of non-compliance services. And we've divided that into a number of categories. We have business advisory services, which is in two components. One is modules to assist you to prepare for offering business advisory services to your clients, and the second one is the products that are prepared ready for you to use. We have a regular newsletter, and obviously the newsletter which we're preparing tomorrow on the federal budget is one of them, and we'll talk more about the newsletter when we get to it. We have a special section for educating clients, which we call Client Mentoring and Coaching. We have a series on leadership, which has been prepared by an external consultant. There are 35 seminars stroke webinars in ESS BIZTOOLS that are ready for you to use. And we have 480 papers that are utilised within the products that I've just referred to that are targeted at small, medium enterprises, and 50 papers that are targeted solely at accountancy businesses. And we have our affiliated product, ESS BizGrants, which is accessible by a separate website, which assists small, medium enterprises to have grants identified for them by their accountants. And the investment in a gold subscription to ESS BIZTOOLS is $2,700 plus GST. So the material that's in ESS BIZTOOLS, within the papers there's a set of PowerPoint slides. So there's 470 sets of PowerPoint slides which you can badge and use for your own use. We've also assembled the various forms that are attached to the 470 papers and put them into a subject heading directory in forms so as to help you find them. There are YouTube recordings referred to within ESS BIZTOOLS that you can click on and use. So what's on the screen at present is a chart explaining how ESS BIZTOOLS operates. We have the papers which have then been utilised to develop the business advisory services and Business Plus newsletter, client mentoring and coaching, the leadership modules. ESS BizGrants is accessed via a separate website because it's a completely different type of product, and we have the client seminars. So within business advisory services there are 9 modules to help an accountancy business prepare to offer business advisory services. This covers some work that would be done with the partners of the firm, but then very importantly the team within the firm, making sure that they're ready to offer business advisory services, that they're prepared to do the extra reading, the extra work, to develop a broader commercial knowledge of what's going on in the marketplace, because this is very important if they are going to be able to offer business advisory services. But we have some forms that we'd suggest you use as interviews for clients, because it's very important to get some feedback for your team on what your clients think. There have been numerous surveys undertaken over the last 10 years on what small businesses are looking for from their accountants, and the leading survey up until recently has been the MYOB 2004 survey. There was also a very interesting survey produced by CCH only last week, and they've titled it SMEs, the Fine Line Between Failure and Success, which is based on interviews with 1,100 small, medium business operators and 212 accountancy firms. And there's some interesting information. 82% of the SMEs indicated that they view their accountant as being their prime advisor. which is great, and it's a bit higher than what some surveys have been saying of late. But it also lists reasons why businesses fail according to SMEs, and the highest rating item is failure to manage costs. The second highest rating was inexperienced management, and the third, or the equal second highest rating, was poorly designed business model, which the interviewers have written no business plan. Insufficient capital, inadequate access to capital was the next, then poor marketing. So these surveys are continually identifying additional work that accountants could undertake. So back to our introduction to business advisory services modules, it's getting the team prepared so that they can look at delivering some of these services that are very important. We have a module on marketing. We have a module on selling, because marketing and selling are going to become very important issues for accountants over the next few years. And we have a suggested seminar to introduce business advisory services to a firm. Within business advisory services, there are product modules. When we go live on the website shortly, you'll be able to see that these are completely self-contained modules. Everything has been prepared to assist an accountant to deliver business advisory services without having to reinvent the wheel, without having to go back and start all over again. So the products are the ones listed on the screen: business health check, business evaluation workshop, budgets, cash flows, CFO services, strategic business mentoring, which really is a more senior partner or a manager acting as a executive director for a client in assisting them to achieve their overall business objectives. Cash flow management, probably the biggest single issue, in my opinion, affecting small businesses at present. Business planning, buying a business, succession planning, selling a business. Succession and selling are very closely interrelated, of course. Various surveys have indicated that around 70% of Australian small businesses are going to be listed for sale in the next 12 months. Sorry, the next 10 years, not 12 months, that would be next 10 years. But how successful are those business listings going to go? Are the businesses that your clients will be trying to sell going to achieve the value that your client thinks they're worth? Identifies a lot of particular issues. So within the business advisory tools, we've got papers, we've got forms, we've got questionnaires, we've got manuals for the clients, and within each of those modules there is a template for the preparation of a quotation and the proposal letter to go to the client together with the timetable. The next area that we will be looking at is the Business Plus newsletter. This is a monthly newsletter which we forward to clients each month, and has articles targeted at accountants. It's not full of taxation articles. Many SMEs complain to us that the newsletters they receive from their accountants are full of taxation articles. You can add or delete material if you wish. Obviously you're then responsible for it. And we give you a list of papers within ESS BIZTOOLS that will act as reference material on a subject that's been raised in the newsletter if you want to read that to refresh your memory on certain subjects, so that if clients start talking to you about the issues raised, you have some ready prepared answers to give to them. Client mentoring and coaching. This came about because one afternoon a few years ago I had a phone call from a accounting subscriber member firm in Perth. It said that they had a new person coming in to see them that they'd been trying to get as a client for about 3 years, and the query was, what papers should we give them? Well, I wrapped off the papers because we didn't have as many in those days, and I was probably remembering them a bit better. And my colleague said to me, why don't you prepare a segment of ESS BIZTOOLS so I don't have to ring you every time I get a new client. So we thought that was a great idea. We now have 13 pre-prepared modules, which we call mentoring and coaching. which we believe you can use to educate your client. Because one of the real problems that accountants have got in trying to offer business advisory services is we don't believe there's been nearly enough educating of clients into the wider range of services that accountants can provide other than taxation. So hopefully that material will help you. Leadership, there's 9 modules on leadership. ESS BIZTOOLS originally contained a few papers on leadership, but I convinced a colleague of mine, Peter McDougall, Managing Director of Leadership Academy, ex-colonel in the Australian Army, to write some material targeted at small medium enterprise. McDougall had been concentrating on large businesses and government departments for the last 20 years, and he agreed to write a series on small medium enterprises. There's 9 modules. They've been prepared on the assumption that they're going to be delivered by accountants or advisors to clients. Please read them first, get a good feel for it, maybe take your own team through some leadership preparation first so that they have an understanding of what's required. So there's 9 modules there which we'll have a look at in a moment. There are 35 seminars or webinars that are prepared, ready to go. They're all compartmentalized into their own module, so there's no chance of you turning up to run a seminar or webinar and having the wrong material. I've already told you the number of papers, and there's a set of PowerPoint slides for each paper. ESS BizGrants is a separate product on a separate website, but a gold subscriber from ESS BizTools has free subscription to ESS BizGrants. Alternatively, you can subscribe separately to ESS BizGrants. What it gives is a quick and easy solution to finding suitable government grants for individual small medium enterprises. So there's the investment page. I'll just have a look at that. So you can subscribe to the gold package, which includes everything, including a license that you can use whatever number of ESS BizTools papers you decide on, branded with your firm name on your website, as long as they are in a secure section of your website, only accessible by clients using a password or prospects that you're given the password to. And it also includes the ESS BizGrants subscription. There are other packages there you can see listed: Silver, Bronze, Business Plus only, or ESS BizGrants. But all of that is included within the Gold subscription. I'm going to just end that and call up the ESS BizTools website now. So we're now on the website. When you go to it, you can review all of the free material. If you haven't already done so and you wish to apply for a guest login, you come here and apply for the guest login. That will give you 30 days access to the site to view the services that are offered. What I've gone on to now is the products page, and there's a list of products included within ESS BizTools. The small business advisory package doesn't apply to accountants. It's a separate package we're prepared for training organisations, but the rest of the material here applies to ESS BizTools for accountants, and all of this material obviously applies to the gold package. When you go onto a section like business advisory services, there's a summary of what's included. There are some other papers you can link to if you like. And what we're going to consider first of all is what's on the left-hand side, the introduction to business advisory services, with the greyish sort of background. There's 9 modules that are prepared, ready for use. And to give you an idea of what's included in one of these, we'll go into implementation of business advisory services. In each of these, we debate the issue by using a paper which we've written on that particular subject, and in each case there's an introduction. So this is the introduction, which lists the papers that are referred to in this subject, and then the forms that are attached. We'll just download the material. It does take a little while to download. So what we're going to get here is the paper, which is an instruction paper for the accounting firm to utilize to go through and review what has to be done. The papers are prepared exactly the same for accountants as they are for SMEs. So in this area above this line here, you could include your logo and your name. This paper obviously is meant for internal use because it's giving a overview of how one might start to get ready to deliver business advisory services. And then we have the forms that are listed there. And then we have a paper. There are linkages to other papers that are offering additional commentary on this general theme of offering business advisory services or non-compliant services to clients. Then gives a overview of process. Obviously, partners have got to say they are interested in doing business advisory services. We then believe the next group that you need to talk to is your team, and we have selected interview forms contained within the material to talk to team members to get their views on offering a wider range of services than just taxation. We've also included client forms, which we suggest you'd interview all or some of your A-class clients to ascertain their views. Be warned, once you do that, you're going to create some expectation in the minds of some of those clients who will then be looking to see whether you've actually proceeded with the introduction. And then we've got a checklist for the introduction of business advisory services. And we're looking at some of the supporting forms. We've got some forms there which will assist you to classify clients, whether they're A or B class. What's the other foundation work that's got to be done? We've got a product which we call SME Needs Analysis that you could use, should use. There's a need to develop a marketing presence, even though there's been numerous surveys by both MYOB, CCH, universities, Smith Inc., Proactive Accountants. An accountancy business still has to convince their clients that they have the ability to be able to deliver these products. I was at a seminar organised by Smith Inc. 2020 at Service Paradise in February, and one of the speakers indicated that a client that he'd had for 15 years had gone off and had $26,000 work done by a business coach. The first time the accountant knew anything about it was when he was reviewing the financial accounts for that client. He telephoned the client and said, I see you've been to a business coach. Why haven't you been to see us about it? And the answer was that we didn't know that you were offering those services to our clients. So the client had been a client of the firm for 15 years and didn't know that the firm was offering these sort of services. So there's definitely a need for some marketing. Obviously, quality assurance is also important. As business advisory services becomes a bigger issue, the Institute and the CPAs will be introducing, I've got no doubt, that they'll be introducing their quality control reviews to look at business advisory services. Some firms employ a coach, and in the material we have a list of the coaches that we know of. And obviously what you're trying to do here is to obtain a sustainable competitive advantage. And why do you do business advisory services? An appropriate question. The CCH and the Proactive Accountants conducted a webinar last week, in fact a week ago on Tuesday, and their forecasts are based on the Deloitte report, and I recommend the Deloitte report, Digital Disruption, Short Fuse, Big Bang, to you. Take an hour or so to read it. That report is forecasting some significant disruptions to accountancy services over the next 2 to 3 years because of the uptake of digital technology. CCH reported in that webinar that 14% of small businesses, according to their surveys, are currently using cloud technology, and they expect that figure to increase significantly in the next couple of years. Rob Nixon from Proactive Accountants, following on from the Deloitte report, they've undertaken their own review, that's Proactive Accountants, and they believe that 40% of the work of a compliance nature being undertaken by accountants is at risk over the next few years as clients elect to use their cloud technology systems to do more and more work in-house. Nixon claims that the Australian accountancy market is worth $16.2 billion and 80% is compliance, so the figures work out 32%. That will work out at about $5 billion per annum. It's a large amount of money, and if ever there was a reason why accountants should be considering business advisory services, I think that will be it. We'll be putting out a paper discussing all these issues in the next week, and I will send that to the people participating in this webinar today, because I think it's really highlighting the necessity for accountants to look at other services. Then you've got the forms that are attached to this paper, which are looking at various things. A checklist for the introduction of business advisory services. What do you need to do? How does it fit into your firm's vision? Checklist for A and B class clients. So, and the forms continue. So that's how the introduction to business advisory services segment works. What I'm now going to go is go across to the products. On the right hand side of this screen we have the products that have been developed at this stage for business advisory services. In the next couple of weeks we're adding 2 new products. Survival in difficult times is one of them, and the second one is utilising government grants for your SME clients. What I want to show you at this stage though is just a general overview of how one of these products works. I've gone on to cash flow management. You have the introduction. There's a lot of forms in this, and the one that I thought we'd look at is debtors. So within cash flow management we are looking at debtors, stock, work in progress, creditors, banking arrangements, and then issues like debtors factoring, debtors insurance, just so that you have a complete review. Within this material we've produced forms which will assist the accountancy firm to start offering these services to clients. So we have assumed that the client's basically got no system. I believe many SMEs don't have a proper system for debtors, and that's one of the reasons why the debtors days outstanding are currently over 52 days according to Dun & Bradstreet. Many of the clients just do not have a proper system, and no wonder there's such a high level of debtors days outstanding. So within this material we've got questionnaires to assist you in undertaking a due diligence review of the debtors system. There are forms that you can plan the actual review, and then for every type of document that we mention, a sample of it is included in the material. So we've got a whole range of forms. Welcome to new customer letter, debtors statements, debtors monitoring, debtors days outstanding. So we're going to have a look at the debtors, and then we'll have a look at the form which will help you prepare the budget and the cash flow forecast. So I'll just pick up a couple of these forms just so I can click onto them. This is work in progress. I didn't mean to get that one. It's a debtors review questionnaire which you could use to work through and look at some of the issues affecting the business. And undertaking this review will give you a good feel for what's in the system. It is linked to other documents, which we'll have a look at in a moment. So the questionnaire is prepared, you can use it, and hopefully it will assist you to identify some of the areas. That one, the document referred to a new customer letter. There's a letter in the system which will assist as a template to show a client what is a suggested letter that they might send to a new client. It enables them to confirm their terms of trade and summarise any additional information that they require on the debtor's invoice so that they will be paid promptly. We've included a debtor's days outstanding calculation to assist the client to calculate their debtor's days outstanding, and if they didn't have a suitable form, you could leave this form with them so that they could utilise it. We produced a debtors reduction checklist to help the client identify debtors who they've got requirements to get an extraordinary amount of money from, how much that is, who's allocated to collect it, and how have they gone week by week in collecting that money so that they can keep a close eye on what's happening. We have a application to open an account. We believe one of the big problems is that many SMEs are not getting this information, they're not checking it, they're not checking referees, and then they have problems with some of the debtors. So that's an overview of the some parts of the system, and I now just want to show you the manual. We produced a debtors system manual which would be prepared by your firm for whoever, your client. You can edit this material to tailor it to suit the client's particular requirements. This is a manual that obviously would remain with the client and would enable them to be able to hand it to whoever's in charge of debtors so that they have some idea of what the system is for this particular business. It's going through the whole process, talking about what they should do with private company directors' guarantee forms. They tell their sales department they've got a new customer. What have they done about the personal property securities register? Or do they still think the Ramalpa clauses are still effective? I suspect that many businesses do. And so the form goes on, or the manual goes on. There are 40 pages, including the forms that are attached to it, to enable you to badge that and leave that with the client. Obviously, you'll be charging for it as part of the fee that you will render to the client. We also have a form to assist in preparing quotations. We found initially in New Zealand and then in some firms in Australia not much experience in preparing quotations, especially for new type of work, so we've included a quotation form in each of these modules in Business Advisory Services. These items are linked back to our commentary on how a particular service would apply, so that you're able to go through and place your estimates in the amount of time to be spent on a particular assignment, and then you can determine the overall fee and determine a payment schedule. I think it's very important that there is a payment schedule included, and we have a engagement letter or proposal form to carry out this assignment, cash flow management evaluation. Obviously, if you're not going to do some of the work, you would edit it out of this type of document. You can use your own. This is just a suggestion that we've included. So obviously we've got one of these type of documents for every business advisory service function, the 10 of them, that's included within a product at this stage. The quotations included, payment terms are very important, and the payment schedule against milestones, etc. So that's an overview of how a business advisory services product is undertaken. And just once again, they're the products. There's material, templates, forms, manuals, etc., similar to what's in cash flow management that are available. The next area, a reminder, if you've got any questions, if you want to send me through a message, I will try to comment on them. The next area is client mentoring and coaching modules. There are 13 of these. You see the items there. We originally started off by an experience management one, because that's what the phone call from Perth was about. But then obviously we filled in the gaps and went back to purchasing or commencing a business. It's in yellow because you can access this material as a guest. We went through and determined what material would need to be sent to a client who was buying or starting a business to educate them into the sort of services an accountant can provide, providing a proper accountancy role or a CFO role, not just to prepare a tax return. And we ended up with about 40 papers. So we allocated that over 6 issues, 6 series, and a series we suggest would be mailed out or emailed out once a week. But that's up to you, you know, the clients. Some of our members produce these in nicely bound documents, and we just download this. But that's your call. You could email to the client and let them do the filing, the binding, what they want to do, or you could put it into covers with your firm name on it, make it look very presentable, and send it to the client. And obviously, as with all of our material, you can charge the clients for supplying this material to them, and you don't have to pay us any more money. All we want you to do is to be happy subscribers and renew your subscriptions for next year. But we're getting ahead of ourselves at this stage. We want you to, first place, to subscribe for this year, so you can be using this material in your day-to-day activity with your clients. We've also listed some allied subjects together in this material. So we've got companies and R&D tax incentives placed next to one another. That's because we know that quite a number of small businesses undertake a large amount of research and development. For various reasons, they don't tell their accountants, and they find that they're in a partnership or a trust, and therefore they don't get the accelerated income tax rebates, and because they're not in a company. So hopefully by having the material close together, they'll read it and might get the idea that, geez, if I want to get this higher deduction or rebate, I need to be a company. And they might come back and talk to you about that. Because many of them play it very close to their chests. They don't really let on that they're doing research. We have a suggested letter which would go with each series. You place it on your letterhead. You can edit the letter. You can completely change it if you wish. But it's a letter, there's a template there that you can use to send to your client, which is explaining what this is about. There is also a survey form, so you would badge that with your logo and your name, and you would send one of these series survey forms with each series of material sent to the client. So that you can get them to indicate their feelings about the various papers. Our suggestion is that you have a client services officer or admin person ring the client after about 5 days to see how they're going with this material. Have they read it? And have they got any questions? And do they want to talk to an accountant about those questions? Because unashamedly, what you're trying to do, in our opinion, with this material is use it to educate clients on the additional services that you can provide. I don't believe that clients are going to automatically agree to go from paying $2 to $3 grand a year for accounts and tax returns to figures of $10,000, $15,000, which some people talk about, unless there's been an education process, unless the client's been shown what you can do within your firm to show them this material. I just had a question come in looking for a cloud-based CRM. Any suggestions? Well, the one we use is Zoho, Z-O-H-O, and I must admit we had our teething problems when we first put it in, but it seems to be going quite well now. We will send you details in the material we'll send to you after this webinar, if that's okay. So then within the material you then have some other forms that are attached, and you have the papers. So the papers to be sent out in each module are together. There's no chance of them being mixed up. They're all there together. They're ready to go. You would badge them with your name and away they go. So that's how the mentoring and coaching works. You can set in a process that over a 6-week period, each of these items is forwarded to the client or prospect. Please make sure you're following them up though. The whole aim of this is to educate the client and to be able to offer them a wider range of services than just an accountancy approach of a tax return and a set of annual accounts. Leadership modules. Presented looks slightly different, but there's some introduction material there that Peter McDougall's written. There are 9 modules. The suggested presentation times are there. They're preferably presented in the order that they're listed there. They start with teams and teamwork summary, and there's a facilitator's guidance and a participant's handout for each one of those modules, and a gold subscriber receives all of this material as part of their subscription. Peter McDougall's able to be contacted if you've got any queries on leadership. He's very keen on that area and believes that small business operators and accountancy firms need to be continually reviewing their approach to leadership so that the overall leadership climate in Australia is continually improving. I've now gone on to Business Plus newsletter. This is a newsletter we produce each month except January. But in May there are 2 extra newsletters. So I'm showing you the May one. This was uploaded to our website last Friday. Our newsletters, monthly ones, are uploaded on the second Friday of the month at 12 noon Queensland time. And we send an email to our member subscribers telling them the information is there so that you are then able to download it. Quite a number of firms are geared up for Friday afternoons around Australia to badge the newsletter to send it to their clients. We also produce another newsletter tomorrow, which is on the federal budget as it affects SMEs, and in the end of the 3rd week of May we produce our annual income tax guidance newsletter for small medium enterprises. So we've downloaded Business Plus. It was issue number 89. So we've been producing these for some time now, as you can see, coming up to the end of the 7th year. You remove the articles supplied by and place your own information, your own logo and name there. There's always an editorial type commentary trying to look at economic conditions as they might relate to a small medium enterprise operation. We always try to write articles in a very political, neutral tone, so we don't want anyone getting embarrassed by something we have written. We might say, write a few things a bit different if it wasn't a syndicated newsletter, but it is, so we have to be very careful how we write things, because we know that accountants are just badging it and sending it out to their clients. So then we've got articles on other issues, survival in difficult times. So that's obviously what it is at present. That's my interpretation of the Reserve Bank decreasing interest rates to 2.75%. And then there's articles on various things, unique selling proposition. We've been running a series on what's it mean to try to demystify accounting and business terminology. We continually mention grants, and there's a reminder that there's a coal industry grant, a private enterprise grant that actually closes, must be tomorrow. Cost control is important. We wrote that article because the CCH review into small business found that managing costs was the biggest single problem, according to small business operators, and accountants listed as the second biggest problem. We're running a series or article on this one on marketing essential for SMEs, looking at some of the marketing issues of businesses. We started a series in May and we'll finish it in June on action plan prior to the 30th of June, giving us some of the issues. An article on break even and how it's calculated. Then we have this section we call Attention Accountants. This is the supplementary reading. We suggest you delete that section before you send this to your clients. And in this space you put your own message. It might be a seminar, webinar you're running, a client might have won Business of the Year, or someone may have had a baby. You can add material to the newsletter if you wish. Some firms add 1 or 2 pages to it to talk about local issues. That's up to you, and obviously you put your name at the in the final box. So that's the newsletter. We hope you will find that a very useful marketing tool for you to use with your clients. There are past newsletters there, as you can see, which go back to issue number 51, so you can go back and look at some previous articles if you wish. ESS papers. The papers are the nerve centre of the system. They're first of all in sections through to 270 sections targeted at accountancy businesses. The ones in the 500s are papers targeted at accountants, and the 900 series is the leadership material. So that if you're wanting to see a paper, you'd click on the name of it, operating a successful business, and if you wanted to then look at, say, characteristics of a well-run business, you would first of all receive a summary of a précis of what's in that paper. And we're just going to download the paper now, and you badge the paper. There's the paper. It's got an index. It's looking at 20 characteristics of well-run businesses, and the material is there for you to look at. We also have a set of PowerPoint slides for each seem to skip ahead there, but for each paper, you can place your logo onto these PowerPoint slides if you wish. They're prepared, ready for you to use. So that's how the sections and papers operate. So that's a review of how ESS BIZTOOLS operates. We might just go on to, oh, I've forgotten seminars. So we'll just go back to seminars. There are 35 seminars that are prepared, ready for use. The suggested presentation sessions and hours are in brackets after the name of a seminar. So if you wanted to have, and the ones that are numbered over 1,000 are all 1-hour seminars. We found they were the most popular. So if we look at profit making seminar, it lists what's in it. We download it, and then what we're going to get now is a complete module downloaded, which includes all of the material pertaining to this particular seminar, webinar. So there's no chance of turning up to present it and having the wrong papers or the wrong PowerPoint slides, because they're all included within this module, this package, to assist you in the delivery. So what's included is, first of all, some generic material, general hints on the presentation of a seminar, which you could read at your leisure. There's an explanation of, there's some registration forms. Then there's material just pertaining to this particular seminar. So a suggested news release, you might put that to the local media, which they might run depending where you're located. More chance of being run in regional and country areas, but there are free newspapers in the cities. There's an email broadcast that you could send to your clients and other people that you've got on your database. So everything is there to assist in presenting the seminar or webinar. Then here are the papers, or the first one, who can assist small business operators. So there's a paper there that you're able to supply to your clients or attendees at a seminar or webinar. There's a set of PowerPoint slides which you can use to take people through to get a better appreciation of what small business is all about.